attorney Laura Anthony, founding partner of Anthony, Linder and Kakamanolis, author of the Securities Law blog, and creator of the ALC Lawcast. Like I did recently for NASDAQ, I'm going to give a high-level overview of the recent NYSE American rule changes and proposals. There have been so many changes that I am breaking this into a two-part Lawcast. Taken as a whole, these changes are designed to improve the quality of listed companies and to quickly remove companies that fall below minimum standards. In April 2026, the NYSE American enacted 9 rule changes, including 1. Amending Section 101 of the NYSE Listed Company Manual to modify the listing requirements such that a company can only satisfy the market value of publicly held shares requirement based on unrestricted publicly held shares. Unrestricted publicly held shares are unrestricted shares not held directly or indirectly by an officer, director, or any person who is the beneficial owner of more than 10% of the total outstanding shares. 2. Amending Section 101 to modify the listing requirements such that a company listing in connection with an IPO, including a foreign private issuer registering ADRs, must satisfy the market value of the unrestricted publicly held shares requirement solely with the proceeds of the offering. Previously issued shares registered for resale can no longer be counted as unrestricted publicly held shares. The necessary value of unrestricted publicly held shares depends on the initial listing standard applied under and would either be 15 million or 20 million. 3. Amending Section 101 to modify the listing requirements to increase the market value of unrestricted publicly held shares requirement under Initial Listing Standard 1 from 3 million to 15 million. Initial Listing Standards 2, 3, and 4 require an issuer to have a market value of shares publicly held of 15 million, 15 million, and 20 million, respectively. 4. Amending Section 102 to provide that a listed company will be subject to delisting proceedings if the number of publicly held shares is less than 200,000. 5. Amending Section 1003 to provide for delisting if the total number of holders of publicly held shares is less than 300. The new standard excludes officers, directors, or any person who is the beneficial owner of more than 10% of the total outstanding shares. 6. Amending Section 1003 to provide for delisting if the aggregate market value of publicly held shares is less than 1 million for more than 90 consecutive days. 7. Amending Section 102 such that a company seeking to list under any of the initial listing standards will be required to have a minimum stock price of $4 per share. 8. Amending Initial Listing Standards 3 and 4 to provide that in an uplisting from OTC markets or a transfer from another exchange, a company must have a total market capitalization of 50 million for Initial Listing Standard 3, or for Initial Listing Standard number 4, either 75 million in total market capitalization or total assets and total revenue of 75 million in each of its last fiscal year or in 2 of its last 3 fiscal years. The applicable requirements must be satisfied for 90 consecutive trading days prior to applying for listing, and the company must also meet the $4 stock price requirement over the same time period. 9. Increasing stockholders' equity requirement under Initial Listing Standard 2 from 4 million to 5 million. In the next episode, I will continue going over recent rule changes and the 2 significant proposals on the table. If you want to keep abreast of all matters related to capital markets, please subscribe to this channel.